Hello and welcome back to Geeky Port, your safe harbor in the world of nerddom. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing ghosts. And with me to join in the discussion are Amy and Maxie.
Hello.
Hi.
Both no strangers to Geeky Port. So welcome back to the show. Let's dive into it.
Ghosts.
So ghosts. So we've talked about werewolves and vampires and cryptids, but what sets ghosts apart from all of those folkloric creatures?
Oh, they're real.
I think you need a sheet.
Oh, okay. I'd love to discuss why the sheets.
I don't know.
Oh, it's probably the burial shrouds. That would make sense.
Oh, didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I just thought.
Just to make
As I go, woolly. Just white. Sorry. But yeah, specters, spirits,
phantasms,
apparitions.
Yeah. Class 5 full roaming vapors.
Real nasty one, too.
So I think essentially what, like in a lot of like religious traditions, people live their lives on this mortal plane and then go to some kind of afterlife. Like if they're really good, they go to a place of bliss. If they're really naughty, then they go to a place where it's hotter and darker.
Or sometimes you end up in purgatory, where it's so-so.
That's an excellent segue. So yeah, I think we should discuss why it is that some souls in the discussion of like these folklore creatures don't go to any particular place, but kind of linger here in a kind of half state.
Well, have you ever seen Casper?
Yeah. Have you ever seen Casper?
Because they explain that ghosts have unfinished business, and that's why they don't cross over. And then it's like, I have no unfinished business. And then Kerrigan, she like...
Although they do disprove that in Ghosts, the sitcom Ghosts.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Because it's like, oh, my business is finished. And then it's just like a bright light from like a floodlight on the house. But
yeah, I wonder if that's just in the perception of the mortal that died, that they think that they have something to do here on this mortal plane and not let things go and go to
the perception of the person who's living of why someone would stick around. It's like, well, the only reason you're still here is because you have something you must do, and therefore that will make you go bye-bye. But
well, that's interesting. Then it being a ghost is part of that plan. Like you must stay behind until this one thing is accomplished.
Did you guys ever see the movie Heart and Souls? No. It was with Robert Downey Jr. and
which means it's good.
It was really good, and it was about this little boy, and he had guardian angels, and they were ghosts. They were people who died suddenly, and they couldn't move on until they like did one thing. Like one had to apologize for this little kid he ripped off. One always wanted to sing in front of an audience. One wanted to talk to their son, and one just wanted to like give him a hug. And they like inhabit Robert Downey Jr. at different points to like do their business.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Have you seen Flatliners?
No. Oh, is that the one where like they border on death and then they're brought back?
Right. They invoke a kind of death, like clinical death. And because these characters are trying to find out like where the brain goes, where the mind goes at the point of death. But what they end up doing is like kind of skirting the edge between the mortal plane and the afterlife, and they start seeing and are haunted by ghosts.
Whoa.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's not to spoil too much from this movie from the 1990s. But yeah, they end up meeting ghosts of people that they have wronged horrifically and must atone for those actions, in the real world. So like once they're revived, it's like, oh, I have to talk to that person because I didn't know
Awkward.
Yeah.
My favorite theory about why ghosts are a thing is that they're attached to an item or entity. So things like when people would take like the first lock from their baby and hold it in a locket, and then like that would be the thing that kept them, if unfortunate circumstances happen, like a child dies, then the child becomes a ghost because of that locket. There's some same thing with like a treasured item, like a piece of furniture or an heirloom of some sort that gets handed down. That's like the kind of thing. And then by essentially destroying whatever the spirit is attached to is what sends them on to whatever.
Like a Horcrux?
Like a Horcrux.
Okay.
So that actually reminds me of in Shintoism, the Japanese religion, that like an item, like a physical thing can become haunted, like a knife that's used in a murder. Like there could be like an evil spirit in that knife from that point forward, and that has to be cleansed ritualistically. I mean, the murdered person could also perhaps be a ghost. I don't know that much about the religion, but specifically, like, I don't know, something the blood touches from the murdered victim or the knife itself could be in itself haunted.
Some bad criminal happens to be in a toy store, and when they die, their spirit goes into an adorable My Buddy doll.
That makes for a great segue.
Possession?
Yes. So a ghost typically is not seen. They are seen by certain characters in Shakespeare's plays. More on that later.
And Beetlejuice.
Yes. But these ghosts could all traditionally can't manipulate things in the real world. They can pass right through them unless they maybe like concentrate and enter a person or an object, which puts that person or even like any other kind of creature under their control, or could like move an object or become part of the object.
I mean, sometimes in some versions, but there's also like you gotta look at the sense of like a ghost versus a poltergeist, which is, you know,
A noisy ghost. No, I think in German, doesn't it literally mean? Doesn't poltergeist mean noisy ghost?
Pretty much.
Probably, yeah.
But it's an angered spirit that's has such, either because they've been in this weird middle place for too long, or however they passed was horrific, or they were just a real bad guy in life. Those are the ones that like can fully manipulate reality in the sense of like they can move things and they can almost like become an apparition, like a fully like formed thing in front of you. You can like see them. Some people believe that's only for poltergeist. Some people believe that's just all ghosts if they want it bad enough.
Or just put a sheet over.
Yeah, or just get some baby powder and just go
like the Invisible Man.
Also, what fairy fire is used for.
Whoa!
In Dungeons and Dragons.
But also, other than Shakespeare, ghosts show up in other literature. Such a I figured you wanted to talk about Christmas Carol.
Right, Charles Dickens. Right, because I think those are interesting. The ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. Are they ghosts? Are they the disembodied spirits of mortals, or are they like more like angelic creatures? Even though they're called ghosts.
I figured they were angelic, obviously, except for Jacob Marley, because they're all there to teach him a lesson and stuff. And apparently it was a Victorian English tradition to tell ghost stories around Christmas time. And I want to bring that back.
I support that.
Nice.
I mean,
Also,
we're helping bring
all holidays.
Krampusnacht to
we do
Bring
this.
back
we do
ghost
this
stories at all holidays.
But there are like more
and children's birthdays.
but there are like more Victorian ghost stories, but the biggest one is Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
It's all about redemption. They help them to see the good.
You know what I was thinking about?
What?
So although those entities are called ghosts, but are themselves not, perhaps were never really alive. In the Christian tradition, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But the Holy Ghost is like the power of God, part of the triune nature of God, but not someone that like lived on the mortal plane and died and became some kind of translucent sheeted thing.
Oh, okay. No, now it's the Holy Spirit.
Right. Oh, well, that's another name for it, right?
Well, because now it's like God be with you and also with your spirit instead of and also with you.
Yeah.
That's all I. Otherwise, yeah. Amy and I are Jewish, by the way. So there's really. It's just like.
Do we have ghosts?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Are there ghosts in?
It's kind of
the
like
Hebrew
in
stories?
Judaism, as far as I know, it's just like when someone dies, it's like that's it. It's like they're not coming back. Don't try to like contact them. It's like that's done, and they're in the earth, and blah blah blah.
Well, I want to
It's
say,
not really emphasized.
is it Saul? And he goes to the witch of Endor to summon a spirit that could aid them in a battle to come. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not a
guess.
biblical scholar, I guess.
Yeah, me.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I genuinely did not know about the death thing
That's-
for
that's-
even Judaism, and I've been Jewish my whole life. So
Same. But I mean, they don't really like emphasize the afterlife. They're just like, hey,
that's not it. It's inconsequential. It's more important what you do in life and who you are to the people
like
around
be a
you.
good person. Don't dishonor your family. If you do something wrong, make amends. You're the only one who can do that. Like those, like that's pretty much. And Jonah and the whale
Yeah.
and Passover.
I know
And
so much about the Ten Commandments.
yeah,
So much.
so much.
But mostly because of 2 movies.
Ten Commandments and Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Charlton Heston and Val Kilmer. There are Moishe. So yeah, Judaism, there's not too, even though there are like in like Orthodox and Hasidic Judaism, there are like evil spirits.
Yeah.
Like there's the Dybbuk, there's the evil eye. And that's why like Orthodox Hasidic boys, they don't cut their hair till they're 3 because they believe if they disguise them as girls, the evil eye won't get them and the evil eye only wants boys.
Interesting. I wonder if those kind of creatures would be fallen angels instead of like disembodied mortal spirits.
I don't know. But yeah.
We'll do some research and then we'll do a follow up.
Yeah, we could do a religion episode.
And be like, and we'll just be like, I don't know.
It's just like, yeah, that's totally
Yeah, just wiki it real quick.
just all written like cheating on a test.
You might notice that we're not doing any research. None of our phones are here on the table, so we're not. Feel free to, if you're watching this on YouTube, correct
check.
us,
Yeah,
fact us,
check.
Please do.
Please.
Honestly,
yeah, fact check us in the comments.
because I'll make stuff up. Ghosts love to salsa dance.
Yeah,
I'm sure they
That's their favorite
do.
thing to do.
And they also like to make pottery.
Yeah.
Well, like, or just,
that's right.
Sorry.
Yeah, from
Took a second.
the movie Ghost.
oh, my love. That's a wonderful film.
You're in danger, girl.
And Coraline, yep. They're
Oh,
the 3 ghost children in Coraline
Right.
who went to the other mother and she ate up their lives. And Coraline freed them finally.
gosh, I love Coraline.
You know what so that other reality that's like darker than like the real world, but it looks very similar. That's actually exactly the concept of the Shadowfell in Dungeons and Dragons, which is also the Upside Down in Stranger Things.
Well, I think Neil Gaiman and the Duffer Brothers ripped off D&D, I guess.
Wow.
Well, I mean, Duffer Brothers, obviously, because it's centered around D&D. They're
that's true.
playing D&D, so they know about the Upside Down.
It's also maybe like the fact that they play the game and just wanted to incorporate cool things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that's a version of fan fiction.
Sure. Well, it's
it's
also-
Dungeons and Dragons fan fiction.
And also like equally an homage to Stephen King and Steven Spielberg, I would say. It's very Amblin.
It's very Amblin Entertainment, yes.
You know what I was actually thinking about, speaking of movies and TV shows, the movie Poltergeist, who I think Steven Spielberg produced.
Yes. I'm trying to remember who directed that, if it was Richard Donner or Christopher Columbus.
I bet it was
Crystal.
a guy.
Oh, I think it's Toby Hooper.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah, it was definitely probably a white guy.
What? Man, for this, I am going to get my phone.
But the ghosts, the poltergeists in that
Because I feel
movie
like-
are the unquiet spirits of indigenous peoples
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah,
were
'cause they
buried
disturbed it, right?
underneath the foundations of these houses.
Yeah.
that were
Now
constructed.
imagine being 3 years old the first time you watched
You're
this.
too young.
it is Toby Hooper. Okay, good for you.
And then you're terrified to go anywhere near a graveyard for the next 10 years of your life because you're afraid that you're going to get sucked into a TV whenever there is static and a little blonde girl is going to be in your home. Yeah.
I used to be scared of getting sucked into the TV when
Yeah.
it was static too.
I mean,
a
and then
legit
it came
fear.
full circle because around that time I saw The Ring for the first time at your house. So I was like, okay.
Did you watch The Ring in my house?
Yeah, for the first time. Yeah.
I think I watched The Haunting at your house.
Yeah. I watched the first like 2 minutes of The Ring with my sister and then I never made it through. But I watched the whole thing with you.
Okay.
And then, and it leaned into that fear that the television is
7 days.
where someone either crawls into or out of. And I did a full 180 and was like, yeah, no, this is my entire personality now. Just horror movies.
And I thought you were going to be crawling in and out of television.
Crawling in and out of television.
This is my
and
thing
then
now.
calling people and saying creepy things.
There you go.
7 days.
Well, in a way, you kind of crawled into people's televisions to make this show.
It's real. It's happening.
So, you know what really scared me in Poltergeist is that one, I think it was nicknamed the Doorway Ghost. And it's, the mother is trying to find her daughter. And like what appears in one of the doorways is like this hulking thing that looks like a cross between, I don't know, like a vulture and a lizard.
Mm,
And there's no other ghosts that look like that. And it freaked me out.
I'm sure.
And it's like it's like furry or something, and it's like the fur on its head is like moving around as if the entire thing is underwater. It was such a
I love that.
I mean, there's also the fact that it is poltergeist, and that leans into like the fact that they are angered spirits as opposed to just ghosts. So it's like a corrupted soul, and then like becomes this demon kind of creature. So yeah,
Have you guys seen The Haunting of Hill House?
no, not yet.
really good.
One great horror show, in case you haven't seen it, but great ghosts, and it's like legit.
I do
scary.
know one.
Yeah.
I know that because I
Like
got
rotting.
Well,
No,
no,
no.
it's a character is hung and they're like the bent neck. It's a
Yeah.
bent neck ghost that one of the kids is
Yeah.
like, oh, it's the bent neck. I don't want to say the gender. So then it's like, oh, it's the bent neck ghost. And then you find out like who it was. And then there are a few other ghosts. So good.
Yeah.
It's legit very
that one
unnerving.
thing that got a little spoiled for me on
That's
TikTok.
a bummer because that's a good one.
Yeah, my thing about spoilers is I don't avoid them. So I put zero effort into avoiding them, even for things I'm very excited to watch. So
Then
I do it to myself.
Should we spoil 2 big ghost movies? But they're because there's Sixth Sense
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
then
they've
Big
been out
Twist.
for like
and
decades.
the others. The Sixth Sense was actually spoiled for me, and I wish it wasn't. Bruce Willis was a ghost the whole time.
I figured
saw
it
Dickie.
out.
Well, aren't you so wonderful?
Like, and I thought I was making a joke.
You're like,
I was
oh,
like,
Bruce Willis is dead.
like when he was doing like I see dead people, and then he like starts listing off like all the traits about dead people. And I go, oh, wouldn't it be funny if Bruce Willis was dead this whole time? And I said it just as like a throwaway joke. And then I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh, this is why I don't get to watch enjoy things, is because I do this to myself.
like, I figured it out. The others, I did not figure out.
I did not figure that one out. And literally, my sister and I were like holding hands. We were so excited. We're like, yeah.
Yeah, when it was revealed, I was like, ah! So the others, it's about in case you haven't seen it, yeah, skip ahead if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, to refresh your memory, it's a woman and her 2 children in the English countryside during World War II. And they're these servants who come to help them. And then there's strange happenings in the house. And they're like, oh, we have ghosts. But
And well, the best part is like, but the kids are allergic to sunlight, so like all the curtains have to stay fully closed. And there's like a point where like they keep being opened, and like the kids are like screaming because they're scared they're gonna die, and then so like they have to like quickly, she like shoves them closed and everything,
And then in the background you see like the boy opening them again. You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
But it's revealed during a seance. It's like, but how can you do this if you're dead? And I was like, what? They're the ghosts? It was crazy. I love that twist. What a twist. I watched that by myself in my kitchen in my old house. And I was like, what? What? And it was wonderful.
My sister snuck me in to see it because there's no way my mom would have let me go to see that movie.
Her sister also snuck us into Eurotrip.
Yeah.
For my
That's
15th
what older
birthday.
siblings are for.
It is. Okay. Shakespearean ghosts. I know you want to talk about that.
Yeah, in fact, let's talk about ghost characters in Shakespeare's plays. I actually played one that wasn't originally written in the play. So I played the ghost of King Duncan, and I only appear to Lady Macbeth because she is responsible for King Duncan's death. So I think a majority of the ghosts in Shakespeare's canon are merely figments, manifestations of a character's guilt. Certainly Banquo.
Definitely.
Right. Who doesn't appear to the murderers, but appears to Macbeth because Macbeth ordered the murderers to take his life. In Richard III, all the ghosts of the people that he had executed, his wife, the two princes from the tower.
We're not in.
Yes, it's not historically accurate.
I'm a big stickler for Richard III, and Shakespeare's Richard III is so historically inaccurate. It's ridiculous. But what about Hamlet's father?
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Because Hamlet sees him, and, the others see him. In
Horatio
the
and the two soldiers on the battlements see the ghost before Hamlet ever does. So I think that's a legit ghost.
Yeah.
But later, when the ghost appears in Gertrude's chambers, Gertrude doesn't see the ghost, but Hamlet does. So at that point, is Hamlet feeling remorse, or is he insane?
I feel like by that point he's gone a little cuckoo bananas.
He pretended to be crazy
until
for too long.
Until he was.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I figured because he did present himself in the beginning that maybe it was King Hamlet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could also be that the ghost of King Hamlet can decide who sees him.
Yeah, like appearing as a warning or a prophecy of sorts.
List, oh list.
Well, Hamlet himself is strange and unusual.
Good.
So
the ghost of Julius Caesar appears to Brutus, hence the exclamation, "Great Caesar's ghost."
I'm trying to think about it. Romeo and Juliet, there are no ghosts.
No, although there is a sequel that was written as a
Romeo and
novel.
Juliet?
Yeah, that was made into a TV show. This came out like 10 years ago.
Oh, was it terrible? Is it as bad as I'm thinking?
I thought it was a great concept, and I think the ghost of Juliet appears to Lord Capulet.
Ooh, okay, that's an interesting concept.
Right.
All right.
Like,
That could go really well or really bad.
I was like, Shakespeare wrote a sequel to Romeo and Juliet that didn't make it to the first
Love's
folio.
labor's found.
You know what I was actually waiting for? I'm blanking on the director's name that did Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth from last year that you and I were in.
Oh, Tess O'Leary.
Yes. I was waiting for her to have Mercutio's ghost appear to Romeo. I think that would have been poetic.
That would have been very cool.
Yeah. I personally just feel like everyone should have been dead in Romeo and Juliet to the point where it didn't happen.
There was no one to record. It's like if a tree falls in a forest, do you hear it? If everyone's dead, do they know about Romeo and Juliet? That's actually an issue I have with.
It's my least favorite Shakespeare show.
Even though it's not, I guess it's kind of a ghost story. In Hocus Pocus, when they're like, poor Thackeray Binks, no one knows what happened to him. It's like, Okay, then how do you know that he turned into a cat? No one else was there but the witches and his sister who died. So how do you know that Thackeray became a black cat?
Yeah.
And they're like, but a black cat still haunts. And I'm like, but you don't know what happened to. I'm like, plot hole. I love this movie, but major plot hole.
I think in our last 2 minutes, we should talk about our own possible experiences with ghosts.
Sure. I had a very simple one, and then Amy can delve into her big ghost stories. There's one time, is it Thatcher Hall on 6A? That's across from the Gorey House.
That sounds right.
It's like an old church, if you've been there, if you're watching. And my husband and I went to like check it out as a potential performance venue. We went in February on a weeknight, maybe 6 o'clock, so around here, very dark. And we went in with the manager and we went up to like look at the sanctuary and stuff. And and it was just the three of us. And all of a sudden we just heard like a bang from the front and we just stopped. Like it sounded like someone opened and closed a door. And I was like, what was that? And the manager was like, oh yeah, this place is kind of haunted. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, so some ghosts just wanted to hit the wall or open the door real quick to be like, I am here.
Yeah.
And that's the main one I can think
And
of.
that's why Improv Cape Cod does not perform.
Yeah.
Amy, what's your ghost story?
Our house is super haunted. We have, I swear, two, because there's such different vibes happening. There's one that, like, from childhood where, like, you know, like, you'd feel like the bed dip or, like, a couch, like, dip, like someone sitting down, or, like, someone, like, touches your leg and there's no one there. You hear someone call you and no one else is home. That's the worst of that. Then there's one that is more recent, because we still have all of that happening, where things will just go flying off of shelves. We had a light fixture just from an end of the house that no one was on just fall to the ground and shatter into a bunch of pieces. We've had plates that were far back on a shelf just go flying out and hit the floor in a room that no one was in. Trash cans fall over. This morning, the soap dispenser, I turned and then it was on the ground. Yeah.
See, I grew up going to her house and I didn't encounter any of this.
Which is why I think it's like a new ghost, because this is like, and it's usually like
they were hiding from me.
Yeah, usually like when they feel like they're being ignored is when the activity goes up. So every now and then I'm just like, hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Hope you're doing great. Please stop breaking things.
Yeah, it's getting expensive.
You can't have nice things.
Well, believe it or not, we've actually reached the end of our show. I'd like to thank you, the viewer, one of the dozens of viewers that watch the show. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tune in next month for another exciting episode of Geeky Ports. Good night.
Stay haunted.
Ooh, have a beautiful night.
Stop.